Hi, good morning. It's David Rizzo with Rogers Gardens, and today we're talking about the checklist for November. So I'm going to run through really what we're planning, what we're doing, and November is always an interesting month. Our days start getting shorter, nights get shorter, and the thing about it is now things start slowing down as we start really cooling off. So as the nighttime temperatures start dropping, plants are going to slow down, especially like a lot of your summer perennials. So I'm going to talk really, the things I'm going to talk about that I'm going to go through. I'm going to talk about the winter vegetables. We're transitioning out of the tomatoes, and I'll tell you why in a sec. Herbs planting right now, and then more of the annual flowers, and more into some of the natives. And one thing I want to plug though, before I really get into it, is they're doing a program right now, Fall is for Planting. So what this program is, it's 30% off of a lot of the California natives and the water-wise plants and some of the butterfly plants. So it's a good thing to take, and this is just one of the grasses, but you'll see Fall is for Planting, and so 30% off. So that's a good, if you guys are redoing your native garden or you're redoing your butterfly, plant them now, just cut them back, but definitely take advantage of this, because this is going to go on for another few weeks, and then as we enter into winter, then it's going to go away. So definitely take advantage of this. And so, talking about the veggies. So right now we're on a transition. Some areas that are farther inland are probably still going to have their tomatoes and peppers, and they do get hotter days. Sometimes you can keep them in, but generally as we go into November, I start, and this is my home garden, and I'm not far from the coast. I'm about a couple miles from the coast. I'm over in Santa Ana on the Fountain Valley border, so it's cooling down at night, a lot of dampness. So this week I'll start ripping out all my tomatoes, all my peppers. I don't overwinter stuff. And although people always ask me, why don't you overwinter and why don't you? The reason being is I don't want fungal problems to really build up in my garden. I don't want early blight in the soil. I don't want verticillium wilt. I don't want fusarium. I don't want any of those fungal problems build up, because that's one thing with tomatoes especially. They're very disease prone, and a lot of the diseases and the fungal and the bacteriums, they'll build up in your soil, and then you'll have a hard time getting rid of them. So that's why I don't overwinter tomatoes and peppers. And even when I do potatoes, I won't talk too much about potatoes. That'll be like next month or the month after, but I do them in 15-gallon containers. But that's why everything I'm ripping out, I'm redoing the soil, I'm amending, and I'll talk more about that. But let's go into planting. So right now, you're doing your winter vegetables. So broccoli, this is one of the broccolis I like, just the large-headed variety. A lot of growers are trying to push, and nurseries are pushing the smaller-headed varieties. If you want the larger ones, you got to watch for like early dividend, and there's a whole bunch of them. There's gypsy, there's bravado, there's a bunch of them, but I like the larger heads. So once I plant them, and these are nice little starts, you see the little pack. Let me grab one out. So they're perfect planting. So I do space them about 1.5 to 2 feet apart. Watch them for the caterpillars. So anything that's in the brassica family, like broccoli, cauliflower, kale, cabbage, they're going to get the cabbage loopers and the cabbage worms. So I'm really going back to BT, Bacillus surgigenis, BT, very effective. I'm finding that spinosad hasn't been as effective for the caterpillars on my broccoli. So I'll mix about a tablespoon of this into a little hand sprayer bottle, shake it up good. It only lasts for 3 days mix. So when you go to reuse it again, dump it out and remix new. But that I usually will spray about every 2-3 weeks if they're really bad. So that's with BT. And so broccoli right now, when you do plant broccoli, and you'll harvest this head in about 75 days, cut it underneath the head, and you'll get florets. I plant a lot of broccoli. I'll put about 15, 20 plants in my garden, because once I cut those central heads, then I'll get a lot of florets. So florets are good, and fertilize. The only thing I feed my vegetable garden this time of year is Bios Live. And the reason why I'm using Bios Live is I want to build up the mycorrhizae. I want to build up more of the nutrients. When you come out of summer and you're planting tomatoes and peppers and squash, they're heavy feeders. They're going to draw so much nutrients. So I will do my compost too. I'll do the Malibu. I like the Malibu. This is the Malibu. The Malibu, what I like about it, I take the worm castings, like the worm grill worm castings in the Malibu, and I work it on the surface. Now, if your soil's really bad and you got burned out from the summer heat, grab a bag of like an all-purpose planting mix. I'll use Harvest Supreme because it's high chicken manure by Garden Bloom. I'll work that in. As your beds mature, if you're doing raised beds or the ground, keep using the compost. And even in raised beds, I won't use much potting soil. If it's like 2 years, the beds are 2 years old, I keep compost. And if they don't drain, I'll use pumice. That's another thing that I use a lot is I like using pumice. Pumice is important for drainage. Now the thing with pumice is sometimes it can get more compacted in the ground. Raised beds, pumice. In the ground, so the clay doesn't bind up. I had a bag and I don't know what I did. Oh, here you go right here. I love coarse sand. For in the ground, I love coarse sand, especially if you're heavy clay, because the sand will help. It just helps really keep the clay from binding up, so that's important. So broccoli right now, your cauliflower. So all the cauliflowers are good right now. So cauliflowers, you're only going to get one head out of them. And again, 1.5 feet apart, regular water. Watch for the cabbage worms, so plant that. And a lot of times with this taller stuff, like the kale and the broccoli and the cauliflower, put it in the back of the garden. If these get this tall, you don't want to put it in the front. So I do a tiering. So the kale, I might put a broccoli, a cauliflower, or another broccoli. In the middle, I might do a kale. So this is one of my favorite kales. This is the Italian kale called lacinato, dinosaur kale. There's a lot of different variations. Black magic, there's a whole bunch of them. But I love this one. Gotta watch it for the caterpillars though, but I love to steam it, and I always do a cut and come again, so when it starts growing, I like trimming. I don't wait for the leaves to get tough, so that's one thing when I'm using with the kale. I like to use the tender young leaves, and so fertilize them, get those going. What else we got? I brought up celery. Oh, celery is a good one right now. This is tango. Tango is a good one, so celery is a good one. Again, I don't wait for celery to get all the way to harvest. I keep cutting. So I do a lot of cut and come again. So that's one trick for harvesting and not having to wait. So do your broccoli, cauliflower, your kale. I didn't bring up any cabbage, but cabbage is in right now. You can do your red cabbage, your green Copenhagen cabbage, all of that. So that's important. Going into the greens. So this is now, as we finally start cooling down, like this week we're supposed to go 70s, and then at night we're 50s, mid to high 50s, which is perfect, and the dampness. Now's the time for your greens. So all your greens, your spinach, all your lettuces, all of your arugulas and cilantro, any leafy vegetables and leafy herbs now. So one of my favorites, let's spread some of this out and I'll show you. I got everything. I'm always so disorganized with stuff that, it's just like, I'm not a very organized person, but I try to make it work. And so I'm just separating some of the stuff I do from seed. So one of my favorite mixes that I really like, and I know I tell you guys a lot, I love the gourmet greens. And so this is a mixture of royal oak leaf, and it's a mixture of cut and come again lettuces. So very effective. And even with this is a mixture, and what I'll do is when I harvest it, let's see if I can do this with one hand. We're gonna experiment, Sabrina. So we're gonna go through. We're not gonna cut it all the way to the ground, but we're gonna cut right about an inch above, and we're just gonna do cut. So romaine, again, cut. And so what I'll do is I'll harvest all this, and then if you can see where I cut back, that's going to come back in about 2 to 3 weeks. So I love the cut and come again lettuces, and so that's why I like the leaf lettuces, because I'm not the type that's going to go through and pick one little leaf at a time. Again, you can't really see it, but I'll go through and literally just go through, and it looked like the rabbits ate it, but now that's like a good meal right there. So my lettuce, but definitely the cut and come again. And it's going to look like the rabbits were chewing on stuff, but that's why I do like the cut and come again. And so I do that one. What are the other ones I do? I like the little, I don't think I brought any up, but there's a dwarf romaine called Little Gem. Always do Little Gem. That's more of a smaller, rounder leaf type of lettuce. Here you go, right here. So I love this one. I love the little gem. So little gem has very round leaves. It's a dwarf variety, but it doesn't get so tall and lanky, but it's nice and crunchy. So that's the one thing that's different with some of the different varieties of romaine. When you go into the red romaines and the Paris Coste, they can get really tall and lanky. I like the compact for crunchy and short. So that's one of mine for the lettuces. And lettuce will go into the front of the garden. It's the shortest. Lettuce you'll put 6 to 8 inches away, plant it heavy. Water it good. If we get a lot of rain this year, you gotta not water the garden too much. Even as we go into November, I turn off the garden and I might hand water once a week or twice a week to get things going. But then when we get rain, I don't water at all. I'll skip a week or two. So sometimes I won't water for 2 weeks. So that's when you watch the weather. So even though we don't have plants, I do spinach from seeds, and I like the baby spinach. So one of my favorites, Matador. And what I do with this is I'll loosen out my soil and compost, I'll amend it, and then I'll actually do rows, and I'll row it out. I'll plant these pretty shallow. You know, the seeds to this will only be about 1/16 of an inch. So Matador is a good one. Hi. Lavula is another good one. The baby spinach called Oceanside. So Oceanside is a really good one. I like doing that. So plant it, and what you can do if you really like using this, every couple weeks plant a little amount of seeds, whether if you do lettuce or if you do spinach, but do some of the good varieties that are more the baby spinaches. So these are the ones I like that we carry from seed. And spinach is pretty easy to grow. Sometimes it can rot out if we do get a lot of water, if we get a lot of rain, so watch for that, so don't keep it too wet. And not a heavy feeder, just plant the seeds full sun, water them about 2-3 times a week before they come up. Once they come up, maybe once a week, and then as we get more rain, less than that. Hi, hi. And then another one, let's see what else. This is mainly a lot of the stuff I do from seed. So let's go through this really quick, and then we'll get onto this stuff. So what I was going to do, I was going to show you, so I'm doing the Astro Arugula. That's a good one from seed. So do your arugula right now. And I brought up some cilantro too. Let's see if I can find the cilantro. So there's one called Long Standing. So Long Standing I'll do from seeds. Let me just go through it. I don't know where I put it. But anyway though, cilantro you can do from seeds now. We're cooling off. Cilantro likes cool weather. Long Standing, there's Santos. There's a whole bunch of them. So do them from seed with your arugula. And again, shallow planting. Your onions are good right now. I'll do the white Lisbon. You want to go for your shorter day onions in our climate. So you're going for candy, you're going for granics, and anything that's more of a short day that doesn't need the sunlight coming out of the winter. So that's important. I brought a couple of them up, like garlic I do right now, like shallots, ambition shallots. Plant shallots right now. Do your leeks, planting right now. And for root crops like with beets and carrots, don't buy the transplants, because a lot of times with beets, if you want to do the greens, buy the transplants. But if you want a really good root crop, do the seeds. And so this is the thing with like I'm gonna see where I did it. Okay, here with growing beets. The gold beet is really good, like the Green Acres, Golden Boy is a good one. The Chioggia is a good Italian variety. There's another good one that I brought up that is, if I can find it. Oh, here's a good one for juicing. If you guys are juicing, Early Wonder. Oh, this is a good one for juicing. So if you guys are making your own beet juice, Early Wonder is the one you want to grow. And now is the time to do the seeds. And so the other root crops too, don't buy transplants. All the carrots. So the carrots I like the one, it's a Shin Karada. Good carrot for heavier soil. I like the little 8-ball carrots. They're good. Mixture, the rainbow carrots are good. I do like, the tender sweets are good. Tender sweets are good. Now, if you have heavy soil, this is one of my favorite varieties for heavy soil. Royal Court Chutneys. They're really good. So carrots, just plant them heavy. Loosen the soil deep. If you loosen the soil deep in your garden, you don't have to thin them. the roots of the carrots are going to go straight down. Where everybody's like, oh, you got to thin them, you got to thin them. I don't thin anything. This is the thing people always ask me, do you thin? I'm like, no, I don't thin anything. I make sure my soil is deep at about 10 to 15 inches. So that's very important. And then the radishes right now, do the radishes, the Easter egg blend, that's a good one right now. Now the cherry bells are really good, but they're going to be sort of spicy. So one of my favorite radish, even for the kids, is French breakfast. Now these are really quick, so they'll harvest out in about 30 days. So that's important with that. Bok choy you could do from seeds right now. Collard greens, do the seeds. You know, if you can't find plants or grow out of plants, do seeds. Don't wait. That's where people get into trouble with their vegetable garden is they'll hunt for plants. If you can't find plants, do the seeds. Like the mustard greens, like Mizuna, like the endive, plant the seeds. And one of my favorites, I like the white stem bok choy. This is a little one called choco, and so this is a good one. So seeds. And what else? Oh, even with chard, do seeds. I do the rainbow chard, so that's important. With peas, you're going to plant peas right now. So these are your shelling peas. You always need a little trellis about 4 to 5 feet tall, full sun. Plant them right against the trellis, and don't overwater them. But mainly with peas, they want a lot of sun. So that's the English shelling type. This is your Oregon sugar pod, your snow pea. I didn't bring up any of the sugar snaps, but you can do the sugar daddies, the super sugar snaps, all of them. Just get them in the ground, do a little 4-foot, 5-foot trellis, and plant them heavy. I'll do seeds, I'll do plants. I might even do a mixture. I might even put the plants in and put seeds between them. Just get them going, because now is the time for all these vegetables. You don't want to wait. You know, you want to get stuff in now. So you want to be able to put it in now, and you're going to harvest about 75 days out. So November, December, and even into almost into later December. So most winter vegetables will grow pretty quick. So even like 65, 70, 75. So get stuff in the ground now. Very important. And that's it for the vegetables. Moving on to the herbs. So a little bit different with herbs this time of year. We're going away from the annual herbs. So like basil's going away, dill's going away, but now we're still doing all the perennials. So English thyme, French thyme, we're planting those right now. You're doing your rosemary, like your Spice Island. This is a good one. Tarragon, I'll still plant it right now, but tarragon goes fully dormant. So mark it with the tag where you plant it. Oregano I still do right now. This is Italian oregano. The mints, I do a lot of spearmint in tea, and so this is Kentucky Colonial. This is a good one, but don't put mint in the ground. Put them in little terracotta pots. So more mint, plant now. I'll do even lemongrass right now. Lemongrass is going to slow down as we get colder, but easy to grow. A large perennial. Your chives, like your onion chives, your garlic chives, plant them now. All your parsley, Italian parsley, flat leaf, curled, plant it now. Like the sages, like your Bergarten and your Chef's Choice basil, we're going to start taking it out. I'm going to take my basil out next week and make pesto. So basil doesn't like it when you're going into fall because it's too damp. You need chervil right now. Dill is just like basil. Like, no, this is chamomile. You can plant chamomile right now, but dill, I had dill in here somewhere, but dill is running late. So trim it, use it. It doesn't like it when it's cold and it's an annual. One of my other favorites to plant now, lemon verbena. This is a great substitute for lemons, but you got to clip it down because it's going to get big. It will get 10, 12 feet tall. So that's with the herbs. Just get them in the ground, plant them, and always make sure, I'm going to move some of this stuff to always make sure that you're getting a lot of sun with this stuff. A lot of this stuff needs about 6 to 8 hours of sun. So that's very, very important. Let me just put this down here. I'm going to move some of these vegetables out. Move some of this. And we're going to talk about flowers right now. So a lot of the annual flowers. Let's make room for some of this stuff. So annuals right now. So now is the time you're starting to rip out a lot of your summer stuff, like the vinca. Petunias are pretty gone. Marigolds are getting pretty tired, but now for your winter annuals in full sun, you have your pansies. So I'm planting pansies right now. This is the bigger pansies. I love the violas, planting violas right now. And with these, plant them about 6 to 10 inches apart. You can put them pretty close. Don't plant them deep. There's one trick that people they make the mistake when they're planting pansies, pulling out. Plant it higher. Always plant them a little higher, because if you bury this trunk, it's going to rot. But what you do is you always peel off the root. You butterfly the root. You plant it firm in the ground, but don't bury that trunk, because if you bury that trunk, they're going to rot. But now's the time with pansies, and I still think violas are a little bit more durable, but yeah, plant them right now. So they're your taller snapdragons. One of my favorites is I love sonnets. So sonnets are your taller snap, and I feel the sonnets are very hardy. They get like about, they'll get about 2 feet tall. Very, very hardy. Put them in right now. We got a good selection of them. Stock. One of the more fragrant flowers to plant. So you can do stock right now. Another one that's really big for planting this time of year, November is a big month to plant them, are cyclamens. Now cyclamens do want a little bit more shade, so I brought up a few. We're going to get more in, but these nice white, larger ones, cyclamens. So for the most showy flower for Christmas, red and white cyclamens is great. There's a newer one, as I drop stuff. This is one that's called Absolute, and this is fragrant. See it has a little ruffle like a parrot type, but you smell these and they're very fragrant. So that's another thing, if you do put these on a patio and your patio in little pots, very, very fragrant. So Absolute, that's a good one. Yeah, that's a new one. I've never really had it. So do that. Talking about, I'm going to go through bulbs, and then I'll talk to the end about more of what we're pruning and some of the natives. But let's talk bulbs really quick. So we finally got in a lot of our bulbs again. So let me get this so I don't get too wet. So now is the time to start planting your spring flowering bulbs. So a lot of your South African bulbs, like your Iphians and your these are Harlequin, your Spraxes. So these are really good. Little bulbs, these are good for planting for color, and they want a lot of sun. Now, when you get into like some of your daffodils and your South African bulbs, they don't need to be chilled. So now's the time to plant all your daffodils. So this is Holland Sensation. You plant that. Now when they're bigger bulbs, you want to put them 2 inches down. Little bulbs, you want to put only 1 inch down. So the size of the bulb. These are little dwarf fairy called Pipit, and that's a good one. The smaller ones. You get into more. This is a double mix, a little miniature double mix. Let me see. I'll talk about that in a minute. With tulips, these tulips you want to pre-chill. Tulips don't really grow or naturalize in our climate because we don't get cold enough. Up in the mountains where it snows, they're going to come back year after year. If you don't pre-chill your tulips, what they'll do is they'll flower sometimes, and you'll get a very short stem. So, when you do chill your tulips, you put them in a paper bag in the vegetable crisper for about 6 to 8 weeks, and then when they're done chilling for that time, you plant them outside. But again, tulips in our climate are really going to be an annual bulb. They probably won't bloom again next year. So that's the one thing. I do like stuff that naturalizes and it's going to rebloom, but that's the thing with tulips in our climate. We don't get cold enough. So I always like to tell people that because we just don't get cold enough. And that holds true for all the hyacinths too. Hyacinths, you would pre-chill them, put them in a paper bag, keep them away from apples and onions because they'll go bad. So chill these for 6 to 8 weeks, and then you can force these and do a lot of stuff with hyacinths. Very fragrant. This is a tulip called tulipas, and tulipas are species tulips. Now, with tulipas, they will naturalize in our garden, and we don't need to chill them. Now, they're short tulips. They're not going to get really tall. This one is peppermint stick. This one is lilac wonder. You have candy corn mix. So these are tulipas, which is a species type. This one is Tubigran's gem. So these don't need to be chilled, and that's one that I like because you don't have to chill them. All your freesias you plant now. Freesia is naturalized really good in our garden, and you can use them as a cut flower. Ranunculus, again, are ready to do too, ready to plant them. We finally got in all of our really big amaryllis. Christmas amaryllises are in. So these, when you're planting these in a little pot with potting soil, if you want them for the holidays, take about 4 to 6 weeks to flower. So if you want them for Thanksgiving, plant them now. Don't wait. You have the big ones like the red lion. You have double dragon. Now these are the big flowering types. But yeah, all the Christmas amaryllis. The tag came off of this one, but it was one of the little dwarf ones. It was like a picote. When you are picking the larger flowering varieties, bigger bulb. Now the little flowering varieties are going to be small, and so that's with amaryllis. Paper whites, I'm getting all my paper whites. So if you want to plant them now, they're going to be flowering for Thanksgiving. So if you want them for the holidays, plant them. And don't plant them that deep. You can put them in sand, you can put them in potting soil, you can put them in rock. But the main thing is they need sun. So plant them right now so you'll get your blooming. These are little kits. These are a little amaryllis kit, the little picotes, and they're nice if you want to just do a little pot and do them. So that's with the bulbs. So definitely get that stuff in now or pulling down. I'm going to talk about natives really quick, and then we're going to talk a little bit about pruning, and then we'll answer your questions. So let me set these ornamental grasses on the ground. I do make a mess when I'm doing all this, right, Sabrina?
Just a little bit.
The main thing is I have fun doing it. Forgot. Garlic, plant them now. Shallots, plant them now. So don't wait with this stuff. So let me just move this, and I'm going to set up. We're going to talk about some of the California natives. So California natives are planted now. I love this plant. This is Catalina cherry. This is a great screen. So if you want a native screen, Catalina cherries, and they grow fast, about 15 feet tall. One of my other favorites, I love monkey flowers, mimulus. I love that plant for flowering, monkey flowers. I like a lot of the yarrows. So this is the millefolium, Kelia millefolium. This is called Island Pink. I plant that right now. All your manzanitas. So the one thing with manzanita, when you do grow them, Arctostaphylos is a really cool family. And manzanitas are really easy to grow, but don't water much. Don't water much at all. If you water them, lightly water them once a month, or don't water them at all. You know, let the rainwater take care of them, because they pick up a lot of moisture out of the air, and when you're watering them like a regular plant, they rot out very, very easy. They get some of the root rotting funguses. Ceanothus, which one was this one? This is Point Reyes. So Point Reyes is a really good variety. It's a low variety that spreads really wide. Some are tall, a lot of different varieties of them, like Howard Mickman and a whole bunch of them. So come in and see them. I'm starting to get them. Ceanothus, Yankee Point, another good variety. Really good ground cover for large areas. So yeah, that's Ceanothus gracilius. You got like Cape Sebastian. This is Erigerons. Erigerons are fleabane, and this is great for blooming. Sometimes I'll take a little water to get going, but oh, love them for the flowering. More manzanita. This is the big berry manzanita, the Arctostaphylos glauca. That's going to get big. I think that gets about 6 to 8 feet tall. You got, what's this one? This is salvia. I tried to grab one of the Clevelandia sages. There's so many different varieties of native sages. When you go into native sages, man, there's so many types. So come in and see us in natives. I do have some drought tolerance, like the leucodendrons. I'm going to try to show you guys, because we're almost finishing up. Before I want to talk about this is a cool one too that we got. This is a variety of blue hibiscus called Lady Barbara Rose. That's cool. And so definitely grab that one. I want to talk to you about pruning back your perennials. So before we wrap it up, now's the time to prune back all your perennials. Your summer perennials, like your salvias and your penstemons, now's the time to prune them back. When they're done blooming, I don't prune them hard, but what I'll do is take my pruners. See all these dead flower heads? I will go across it, and I'm always cutting off about a quarter. Don't want to go more than that. Some people prune back stuff too hard, so see how I'm just going through and I'm cleaning them up. You don't have to be real You know, with these, you can even take your hedge trimmers. But the main thing, I'm getting rid of all these old flower spikes. And now these are going to rust. They're going to rust through winter. So they're going to really pretty much hibernate. So I'm going to prune them back. I think this was hot lips. Yeah, this is Salvia microphylla hot lips. But don't prune them hard. If you prune them hard, they might not come back. Same thing with penstemons. Like, see, the flowers are done on them. I'm going to cut back. I'll even cut back these, even lavenders, cut back. But again, I'm light pruning. You know, I don't want to prune it to the ground. If I'm pruning stuff all the way to the ground, I might not get it to come back. Roses are another one that I'll light prune back, I'll clean up. With fruit trees and with blueberries and with citrus, I'm not doing that much with them this time of year. You know, I'm sort of just letting them go. But if you have any apricots or peaches with really long whips, like really long branches, you can take those down, but we're not pruning our fruit trees and our roses back until January or February. That's important. If you try to prune back those fruit trees now, they're going to want to flush new growth. Roses are the same way. So don't prune roses. I'll clean them up, and but fruit trees, again, no. Blueberries, no. Just let them go dormant. You know, they're going to look rough. It's normal, because you get a lot of people asking, why are the roses looking bad? Now that we're getting close to 50s at night dampness, they're slowing down. They've been blooming since March or April, but as we go into fall, especially October, they start slowing down. Now we're in November, they really slow down. So that's important for right now to think about is light pruning back a lot of your perennials. Let them sit, don't fertilize them, just let them be. You know, that's the main thing. And watering too. As we cool down and very damp at night, don't water as frequently. Start taking the water back. I might take out a day or two, and then if we cool down more in the day, I'll take it down to once a week. If we get rain in another 2-3 weeks, I turn the water off. So that's one thing. So so we're done for today. If you guys have any questions, call me, come in and see me. You know, look at us on Facebook, look at us on Instagram, follow us on all those social media feeds. But definitely, I'm here most of the time. I'm here Saturday through Wednesday. I'm off on Thursday, Friday. So if you guys come in and ask me about vegetables, I'll show you about everything, okay? Now it's question and answer time.
Yeah, so what I'll do is we do have to get going,
Yes.
but you can absolutely post your comments, questions, concerns, anything like that in the comment section. We are going to post this video to our Facebook and Instagram feed, so you guys can absolutely post them under there and we'll answer them for you.
Okay.
Okay, perfect. You guys have a wonderful day.